Hello and welcome to my mystic monologue about stages. I like to approach skills, learning skills, or using them in stages. It's a mental model for me how I think about the competency level of a skill. And I'm going to use a simple example in this video to explain what I mean, which is cooking. So when you think about the skill of cooking, uh, the very basic skill of cooking is about, well, you're able to throw some food together, cut it up, put it in the pot, and at the end there is a meal that nurtures you and provides you with, like, it fulfills your need of your hunger and appetite maybe. So a very basic skill proficiency is that it fulfills the need, uh, the basic skill needed to fulfill this process. And there are other aspects of cooking that, like, other things cooking can provide. I would say the next stage of cooking is to try out different recipes to find inspiration and joy in cooking different meals. You can also discover lots of different meals. So that is another kind of stage in your journey of improving your cooking skills. So sort of you start with the foundational level and you build, you explore new skills within that skill of cooking that build upon the basics. Basic might be cutting the vegetables, or following a recipe versus adjusting the recipe on the spot with new ingredients. And you can also add a variety of types of meals you cook, like dessert, appetizer, main dish. And then I would say the next stage of cooking is not only to cook for yourself, but cook for others as well. So that is a whole new kind of stage and context, because you might know your own preferences well and you are only one person, so you don't have to cook a lot of food. But if you cook for 4 or 5 people, there are whole new things you need to consider. So that is also an aspect of skill stages that somehow, when you expand into a new stage, there is a whole new class of things you need to consider. So in the example, it would be individual food preferences. Some people might not eat certain kind of things or might prefer certain other things. So maybe you would need to cook some foods, some meals that can be easily adjusted towards the individual preferences. Or you need to expand your range of meals you can cook, so you can cook 2 different meals that together cover all the preferences of your audience. And when you reach that stage, there's also another whole new dimension that you now need to consider, which is hosting. You cook the food for someone, so you're also holding a space, you're also preparing the plates. Maybe there is a nice candle and so on. That's a whole new level of cooking, which now also includes hosting people. And what's also interesting about stages is that if we see this advanced stage and compare it to the basic stage, if you were completely new about the skill of cooking, and you are also new to hosting people, it would be totally overwhelming for you to host a dinner party for 6 people where you don't even know how to make noodles in an exaggerated way, expressed in an exaggerated way. So it's important to find for a skill or an activity what is the appropriate stage for you right now and what can be the next stages, because it's not a linear stage, right? There are many different ways you can expand a skill into. Um, so if you look at any activity or skill today, you can, in terms of growth, you can also think about what are the potential next stages, and you can start orientating yourself into that direction. And to say in a simple example, if you just figured out how to make pasta, the next stage probably isn't to host a huge dinner party for 200 people with a perfect like schedule and live music, all by yourself. The next stage would probably be to start adding an appetizer and dessert to the course you cook for yourself this evening. Just to make a simple example. What I also think is super interesting about these stages is that there's sort of the more proficient you become with a skill, the more, if you decide to, it's also not, if you're not into cooking dinner parties, it's fine if you only cook for yourself for the rest of your life. This is just an example, but you can expand a skill or activity from doing it for yourself into giving it to others, like contributing your skills and time and energy and love to give something. So and that is also to go into the lead. If you enjoy cooking and you like hosting people, you can go into the lead and say, hey, you 4 people, 5 people, why don't you want to join me this Friday or Saturday for this dinner party? This is you going into the lead of creating this event and holding the space, which is a very impactful and generous way to contribute to your friendships, to society. And you're holding the space, and maybe you invite others to contribute. Someone brings a board game, someone brings a salad or a dessert, and it becomes a co-creation. Versus the very basic level of the skill is you cook dinner tonight, which is also great. Yeah, so this is basically the concept of stages, and I think it applies to, you can apply it to a lot of different things. Personally, I can apply it to me as a poet. So 3 years ago, I started to regularly write poems, and I started to write them in my own private book, a couple lines every few weeks or days. Whereas the next stage became to write more regularly, but then also to visit others reading their poetry. That was the next stage. And then obviously the next stage was to read my own poetry to others, which is a totally different experience of just writing a poem. Recently I published my own poem collection as a book on Amazon and as an ebook on Gumroad, so that was a whole new experience and super intense, and I learned a lot of different things that are so far away from just writing a poem, right? And now, the next stage for me is to connect with other poets about their poems, about my poems, and to actually read the poems from my book as a main act on an event. So yeah, I hope this concept of stages is helpful to you, and you can apply it to your own projects, activities, and skills and see what is the next stage for you. Thank you.